You're listening to Frankly Speaking Sports with Larry Frank on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Yes! Welcome to another edition of Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Frank, and a great Thursday night to you all. For those of you who are expecting to come on and see the interview with Brent Honeywell Sr. and the unbelievable story about his son, and his comeback that he's making this year. Unfortunately, Brent Sr. will not be able to be on the show tonight. He had some personal issues that had come up. So tonight we're going to be talking lots of baseball about the Tampa Bay Rays, and we're going to start off tonight's show as I'm pulling it up with some breaking news. For those of you fans that are watching, first of all, I want to welcome you all on as tonight we are on Zodiac TV. That is correct. We are live on Roku, Zodiac TV. We are live on Frankly Speaking Sports, Northeast Streaming Sports, Facebook, everything you can imagine. And tonight's going to be a real interactive show. I'm pulling up some breaking news right now for you all. So bear with me. I just want to make sure that I do have it. There it is. Well, hold on. Let's make sure. All right. We are getting late breaking news out of the Tampa Bay Rays front office, and this is coming immediately down the pipe that Rays closer and reliever Nick Anderson has a partial tear of the elbow ligament. That is correct. Reliever Nick Anderson, partial tear of the elbow ligament, likely will be out past the All-Star break. No surgery is recommended. So if you want to go ahead and, there is some good news in the bad news that no surgery is going to be imminent for Nick Anderson. He will be out for the entire season. I want to welcome Tommy to the show tonight from Temple Terrace. For all you fans out there tonight, we're going to be talking some American League East baseball. We're going to be talking some Tampa Bay Rays baseball, but tonight's going to be an interactive show. This is where the fans get involved. This is where you leave comments. This is where you go ahead, you call in, you get on the air, and we talk about baseball, which is 1 week away from opening day right now. That's right, 1 week away from Rays opening day versus the Miami Marlins in Miami. And that game, of course, will be, I believe, at 4 o'clock p.m. with Tyler Glasnow. Now, a lot of people are saying with the breaking news from Nick Anderson and Nick Anderson now being out, what is that going to do to the Rays bullpen? Well, I'm going to tell you straight up, it doesn't help. But, the Rays are a team that has a lot of depth. If you look at their relief pitching, and I think one of the guys that you're going to see that are really going to stick out this year is going to be a gentleman who right now may not start, now he might be called up, is Hunter Strickland, who pitched for San Francisco, who's been involved in playoffs, who is a high-pressure pitcher. I would be surprised if they don't utilize him and they don't bring him up. And like Tommy said about Nick Anderson, definitely a big loss. But if you look at this bullpen, guys, besides Hunter Strickland, Chris Mazza and Oliver Drake, who might not even be on the starting roster. You have Diego Castillo, Pete Fairbanks, Colin McClue, who could very easily become a closer for the Rays, Chaz Rowe, who did not pitch well today, Cody Reed, Trevor Richards, Ryan Thompson. Let's not forget Josh Fleming. This is a team that doesn't like to identify people in a particular spot, like a closer. Well, you know what? Once again, they're going to have to figure it out. But if you're just joining us, the news out of Tampa Bay Rays front office, Nick Anderson is out at least to the All-Star game with a tear in his elbow. He will not need Tommy John surgery, but this is definitely a blow to the Tampa Bay Rays. We'd love to get your feedback. If you want, there's a number strolling on the bottom, 813-922-9810. Go ahead and you can go ahead and leave messages or call in, and we'll be happy to get you on the show, and we'll be happy to take any questions and answer them to the best of our ability. But, once again, that number, 813-922-9810. So big blow, but, you got to handle adversity. And let me go ahead and we're going to see who. We got a caller right on the line right away. So we'll give him a couple seconds and we'll get to our caller. But it's a big blow right away for your Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, with Nick Anderson, love to get your feedback. Love to get your thoughts. Love to know who you think will be the person that actually steps up for the Rays in the bullpen. But let's go ahead and check the phone line real quickly. We got a caller from Tampa, Florida. Let's go ahead and see who that is. Thank you for coming on the show. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking to?
Larry, it's Tommy, Temple Terrace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tommy. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. I heard the news. That's a huge blow to the our bullpen, but guys are just gonna have to step up. Like I could see it be like a committee, just depending on like the closer by committee, like Fairbanks, Castillo. I think it could be. Do you see it being a committee or Strickland?
I think at first they're going to try to identify who is going to be that guy. Maybe it's Diego Castillo, but Diego scares me because he has that ability. He can be real good, or he can give up the long ball. That was like Alvarado. But I think one of the guys, and you mentioned him, Tommy, that could really surprise a lot of people is going to be Hunter Strickland. He's been in this position before. He's been a closer. No better guy than a guy that has experience to come up and do, and do the job. Haven't heard much about Hunter in spring training. But, when you look at this bullpen, without Anderson, they still got, let's not forget Pete Fairbanks, and they brought in a guy from the Astros who takes up a lot of innings in Colin McClue, who also is a first-rate pitcher. Does it hurt the Rays? Absolutely it hurts the Rays. But that, when was the last time that you seen a Rays team where people got injured and other people did not step up? There always seems to be somebody. And we have the best young pitchers of any team in the major leagues in our minor league. So they're going to figure it out. I mean, the good thing here, and there's no good thing out of somebody tearing their elbow, but it happened before the season. So they have a week to get ready for it, a week to figure some things out, rather than it happen during the season and, oh no, you play the next day and you got to figure that out. So I think in the next week, they will probably identify one or two people, but if I'm the manager and I'm looking at who could be that guy, I would definitely say you got to give a nod to Hunter Strickland, unless there's somebody else they got in mind that I cannot think of at this time.
And the good news is he's not required to have Tommy John surgery, like you said. So that's at least a bit of good news. It's not. He's going to be out like to the All-Star break, like not the whole season. So it could be good. We could get him like if we're in a fighting for a playoff spot, we could be getting him back at like the right time of the season.
And, I threw this out yesterday, Tommy, on my show, and love to get your opinion on it real quick. But, we got an unbelievable outfield. We have an abundance of players, and some of them can't even get up to the majors yet due to the fact that, we are so good on our major league team. But we got a guy in right field named Austin Meadows. We got a guy in left field named Arozarena. We got two guys, Margot and Kiermaier. If I'm the Rays, and I know this isn't going to be a favorable thing to the fans of Tampa Bay, but I'm at least listening to offers for Kevin Kiermaier and seeing if I can get a top relief pitcher, maybe a closer from another team involved in a trade for Kevin Kiermaier, because I really like this guy, Margot, and even if he doesn't work out, we have enough depth and enough players. Remember, Susavo can play outfield. You got Lau at second base when we bring up Franco, who could go to the outfield. I mean, let's not forget that Wander Franco will be on this team sometime this year, and something's got to give, whether it's Yandy Diaz going to the outfield, Brandon Lau going to the outfield. But we have players on this team, and Tyler Wade, who have the ability to play different positions. And if I'm the Rays, unfortunate situations result in unfortunate consequences sometimes. And this may be where in the next couple of days, if not even sooner, that maybe they throw the fielder out there for Kevin Kiermaier, why they can still get something for him, and possibly Kiermaier. And I'm not talking you take anything, Tommy, but I'm talking about a top-notch reliever, maybe on a team that isn't going to compete this year, that just needs to go somewhere else. And that's another option. I wouldn't hide or rule out the fact that they may do so. Once again, it may not be the favorable thing to do, but sometimes you got to do unfavorable things to get favorable results. And this could be one of the things that the Tampa Bay Rays may need to look into over the next week.
I'll listen. I say listen, see what if you can get a top reliever for Kiermaier, I'd do it in a second.
Yep.
I would do it.
Yeah, and I agree. And, Tommy, before I let you run here, buddy, I'm going to put you on the spot. You and I, we root for the same teams. If you had to give it an early estimate, and it's just an early estimate, how many games do you see the Rays winning this year?
Ooh, early estimate.
Can they win 90?
I think they can. I think they can win 90 because I don't think Boston's going to be good. Toronto's going to be tough.
Yeah.
They play Baltimore a lot, so I think 90's doable.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Also, for you fans, I'll let you know, Tommy, too. Monday is a big Rays preview day, but it's not going to be where I talk about what the Rays can do. We're going to have very special guests on. We're trying to line up some more, but we already got booked for Monday night. Dave Wills and Neil Solons will both be on the show. So we're looking forward to Monday night as we get ready. 1 week from today, the Tampa Bay Rays open in Miami at 4 o'clock. Tommy, thank you so very much for calling Frankly Speaking Sports, buddy. We appreciate you.
Larry, just tell Dave I said hi. I'm good friends with him and Neil too. So just tell him I said hi.
Absolutely, my friend. Will do. And
take care, man.
Thank you so much for listening, buddy. Bye-bye.
See you. All right, bye.
All right, that was Tommy. And, and that's what a lot of people don't think. This team has depth. This team may need to make a few trades. It's very sad what happened in Nick Anderson, but you don't lose a year because of one player. You handle the adversity. That's what good teams do. And we'll come back from this. We'll come back from this and we'll come back stronger because let's say everything goes well. Nick comes back strong after the All-Star break, like Tommy said, and you already picked somebody up. Look how much better your bullpen will be the second half of the season. And it's just one of those things you're going to have to deal with. Now, talking about pitching, we had the opportunity during the game the other day to listen to Eric Neander talk about the pitching staff and what his expectation is with the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's go listen to that.
What's the creativity level going to be with dealing with the pitching staff? It's not going to be, I'm assuming, it never is with the Rays, a traditional five-man rotation, but just how creative are you going to get this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be determined by the feedback we get from our players as we get into this and as we break the season in. We get a couple of off days right out of the chute. Within our first 6 games, we've got 2 off days, and that's one part of the schedule. But then right after that, I think we go about a month with only 1 off day. Somewhere in the middle of that stretch, and that's going to inform us quite a bit in terms of what we're up against, how players are responding, and more than anything, we've got a staff. Be it based on their major league experiences, be it coming off of injuries, whatever it may be, for a variety of reasons. There's a lot of built-in flexibility with this group, and I think more than anything, we're just well positioned to adapt to what we learn as we go. So I don't know if it'll be anything too noteworthy out of the gates here, but as we go along, we get that feedback. I think we'll be well positioned and prepared to adapt as we need to. And I don't know, I suppose that could get a little weird at times, but nothing specific up our sleeve right now.
It would seem to me that because you, for an example, a pitching staff, you spread out the numbers on that pitching staff, which then allows you, I would think, instead of relying for sure on, as BA mentioned earlier, it's not going to be a conventional rotation, where if 1 or 2 guys go down, you're really looking to cover some innings then. And it seems to me the way you guys have gone about it, you have any number of candidates where you can mix and match. There's a lot of versatility on that staff. And through that, you create the depth to cover all those innings.
Yeah, without question. I think we've got a group where the workloads can be spread around in a variety of ways, and with the benefit of our players buying into that and trusting that we're putting them individually in the best position to succeed, and then collectively it allows us to achieve the same thing as a team. So a lot of different options that can make things complicated and lead to a lot of additional conversations, but really I think we're going to need all of that to get through this season without knowing exactly how it's going to play out for us.
And that was Eric Neander, the general manager of the Tampa Bay Rays. And you heard him say there, folks, we have to consider listening to other offers. And that's my point right there. When you want to go ahead and you listen to some of these conversations, there are going to be times where you have to, in order to get something of quality, you got to give something of quality away. And, when I look at Kevin Kiermaier and you look at this outfield and you look at Randy Arozarena, who, how can anybody forget what he did last year? And you go ahead and you look at Austin Meadows, who they say is back into, let's hope so, the 2019 form when he hit 33 homers, and you had Emmanuel Margot out there, you can go ahead and get some depth around those 3 outfielders. That, to me, is a good outfield. Is it as good as with Kevin Kiermaier in there? Well, not defensively. And I will say that I don't want to take anything away from everything Kevin's accomplished here in Tampa Bay, but there are a lot of times where Kevin Kiermaier makes some plays look a little bit more difficult than they actually are. So, I just want to let you all know that. Now, I love him to death, but Kevin Kiermaier is not more than a 250 hitter. He is not going to help you offensively. Sometimes he will, but he helps you with his defense. If you can get Emmanuel Margot going or Susago going, that's going to help your team out a lot. Then you can bring up one of these young guys, this Braun guy or Wando Franco. Everybody's talking about Wando Franco. Look at this team. Yandy can play outfield. Brandon Lau can play outfield. Susago can play outfield. Brasau could play outfield. You are not hurting in the outfield. And if you're a smart businessman and you're looking for that closer, then Kevin Kiermaier may be the odd man out. And this ain't pick on Kevin Kiermaier night by any means. We love what he's done here, but you have to get the value for a player while you can. That's what they did with Longoria. Look at Archer. Archer is back. We lost nobody in the Archer trade. Nobody. They're all on the team plus Archer. Great move. And speaking of Chris Archer, went 5 innings the other day. Unbelievable outing by Archer. And by the way, before we play this clip from Chris Archer, want to let everybody know that we are taking call-ins tonight. The number is on the ticker on the bottom of the screen, 813-922-9810. If you want to talk Rays baseball and the outlook for this team, we're going to go down the list on who's going to play. We didn't get a lot of time yesterday as we had the great Mike Muhlenfeld last night from New York Sports South, and we were talking about how the Yankees and Rays would all end up, and we'll go over the division a little bit as well. But Chris Archer and Mike Walker have been being on fire, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that last outing for a pitcher. Stretch them out a little bit. Both of them went 5 innings. Mike Walker, Chris Archer, both looked pretty darn good, you have to say. And, one of the guys to look out for, two of the guys, I will say. I've been saying Michael Walker all spring. I remember with St. Louis, I remember the top quality. I know Mike said, well, he's not necessarily a number one top-notch pitcher. Well, I don't believe Blake Snell was either. I think it's so overrated how much people are saying we lost with Blake Snell. Blake Snell had an unbelievable season, one of the best seasons in history of a Tampa Bay Ray. But besides that, he was 21-25 as a pitcher for the Rays. He was not as great as everybody is making this guy out to be. And I'm telling you right now, I don't wish bad on anyone, but I don't see Blake having a successful year in the National League this year. I just don't see it happening. And nevertheless, I really don't care, as far as how they do out there. But when you talk about Michael Walker, I think you're going to be very, very proud of him. And one unsung guy, and what I really like about Chris Archer is since he's been back with the Rays, he's been acting like a student. He's listening. Not only is he leading, but he's listening and setting the example with Kyle Snyder and listening to everything Kyle Snyder said. His changeup wasn't working. Kyle's answer, keep throwing it. Eventually it'll work. I mean, he's just teaching him the mindset and everything. And let's listen to what Chris Archer had to say about his performance and also about his relationship with Kyle Snyder.
It was nice. I was kind of fighting myself early in the game and settled in. It was very realistic. They had a very close to their A lineup. My changeup was garbage early. But Snods continued to tell me, hey, trust it. Remember what we've worked on. And I just kept throwing it. Changed my focus a little bit, continued to throw it, and got some really, really good results, especially when Kepler came up his second time. And then I got Donaldson to roll over on it. That last pitch that Nelson Cruz smashed was a changeup. It was an out, so I'm not gonna be mad. So it was nice to use the breaking ball when I needed to, but not have to lean on that so much. I was happy with my breaking balls. Even the one that got out, maybe early in the count, it's a good pitch, but with 2 strikes and a hitter like that, I should have thrown it under the strike zone, not in the strike zone. But it was nice to have a little adversity. It was nice to pitch with runners on. It was nice to induce double play. Today was overall for me personally. It was like I took a big step forward. I made some changes as soon as I inked the paper. Before it was even dry, Snyder was sending me videos on what power pitchers changeups look like. It was his hand on the baseball, showing me like what they do with their fingers and what their thought process is. And the only way to have conviction and confidence is to like know that the pitch is good. We have so much data. We can compare it to other changeups around the league. We can compare it to my changeup in the past and say, hey, what you're doing right now, what you've done in your live batting practice, what you've done in the first couple of games, your changeup is significantly better. So that's what Snyder's helped me develop, that conviction and confidence with some of the points that the Rays staff as a whole has found, and he's communicated it very well to me.
Anybody in particular you tried to model it after? Pedro Martinez, start there and work your way down?
The thought is, look, you have a power arm, so you're going to have a power changeup. Jeremy Hellickson, Marco Estrada, those guys have like 12 and 15 mile per hour separation. But I'm just not built like that. I throw my slider hard, I throw my fastball hard. So my changeup is going to be harder. So let's rely on the movement, similar to a young Felix Hernandez, even what Zach Greinke does with his changeup. Max Scherzer, he steps on his changeup sometimes, it gets up to 88 miles an hour. We're just kind of trying to find what works best for me, and I'm getting really good results with this mentality and this grip. So,
which is great. And if you heard him, Kyle Snyder, that's who he's mentioning. Kyle Snyder is such a big influence on this pitching staff. And don't get me wrong, Jim Hickey was great. Also want to remind everybody before we continue that there is a number you can call in. We're talking Rays baseball. Breaking news out of the get-go. Nick Anderson is out, the Rays reliever, until at least the All-Star break with a torn ligament in his elbow. He will not need Tommy John surgery as of now. We will keep you updated, but Nick Anderson will not be with the Rays until at least the All-Star break. Those of you watching tonight, we have several different platforms. We're on Northeast Streaming Sports. We're on Zodiac TV. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are going to be recorded on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. You name it, we're on it, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so very, very much for tuning in. Want to remind you the number to call in, get on the air with us, talk some Rays baseball. I'm Larry Frank. Call us 813-922-9810. Let me know what you think of the Nick Anderson injury. Let us know what you think of some of the players on the team, the outlook for the season. We're definitely interested in hearing that. We are 1 week away. That's right, folks. 1 week away from Rays opening day. And we're doing just a little Rays preview tonight. But, one of the other pitchers that looks to do real well and has been real well, and then we'll talk about the position players in a little bit. But when you look at this starting pitching, everybody knows what Tyler Glasnow brings to the table. It's no secret. Now, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I was just told to tell you that even if you're not on Frankly Speaking Sports, anyone can call the number on the bottom of the ticker, and you will get on the air here on Frankly Speaking Sports. As right now, we are doing a live version of the show. So we are live. Go ahead, 813-922-9810. Get on Frankly Speaking Sports. You want to talk about the American League East, maybe the Blue Jays, maybe the Yankees. We are talking about the Rays. More than happy to get a great conversation going. Go ahead. The phone lines are open. We also have a comment section here where you can go ahead and leave a comment. But after Tyler Glasnow, everyone's wondering who's the next pitcher. That's going to be Ryan Yarbrough. Ryan's been, I know some people say inconsistent at times, but Ryan Yarbrough probably has been used in so many different scenarios over the course of his career, whether it's an opener, whether it's the middle relief, whether it's the end of the game, that he's one of those guys that pretty much can pitch anywhere you want him to pitch. Very valuable guy for this team. Then, of course, Chris Archer, and I really believe Chris is going to do well, like I said before. We heard his clip. I think he is going to really surprise a lot of people. And I think if he can win 10 games this year, that would be a huge, huge win for the Tampa Bay Rays. But, he's looking good. He's looking sharp. He has some pop on that fastball. His changeup later after he got it going. His breaking ball is breaking. So, watch out. And then Michael Walker. I'm telling you guys, this guy, if he pitches like he has been capable of pitching, he can win 15 games easily for this Tampa Bay Rays team. Let's go ahead and, since we're talking about Michael Walker, let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say about his outing today with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Stuff we've been working on in the games, and it's been working well. But continuing to work on those side sessions and get the pitches where I need them to be, the command of them where I need them to be is the priority.
Anything else you really have kind of set aside to work on the last start before the real deal?
I think just building off of what I've been doing. It's not really adding a different pitch or anything, but just refining those pitches that I've got, and continuing to get those up and downs. I kind of felt it in my legs today. It was a little hot out there today, a little hotter day, and so that's good stuff. I like it like that. Just getting the legs underneath you and getting those built up to withstand you throughout a start. And so, just looking forward to get that outing in 5 days. I've got no regrets, man. From the time I was locked in with these guys, I was full go, and I couldn't be more excited to be here. So I'm excited for this team. I feel like we've got a really good team, really good staff. Our position players are studs, and they absolutely get after it. So it's gonna be a fun season, and I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. That was Michael Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that we have the phone lines open at 813-922-9810. Come on, interact, ask your questions, whether it's American League East, whether it's the Blue Jays, Orioles, Red Sox, Yankees, or the Tampa Bay Rays. We're here to answer your questions or any other questions you may have. The number, once again, 813-922-9810. We also have a comment section. We treat that as our text line. You can leave a comment there, and we'll go ahead and we'll try to answer your questions as best as we can. What we're going to do right now, we're going to take a quick 10-second break to allow our stations to identify themselves. And when we come back, we'll talk about the rest of the Tampa Bay Rays lineup.
You're listening to Frankly Speaking Sports with Larry Frank on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. Hopefully you're enjoying this show. For those of you that were tuning in, expecting to see Brent Honeywell Sr., the father of Brent Honeywell of the Tampa Bay Rays, unfortunately, something came up where he was unable to be with us this evening. We do apologize, but, it's been a crazy time over the past year, and things do happen, and we completely understand it, and we hope everything is well with Brent. But I do want to apologize. Tonight, instead of Brent, what we're doing is we're taking phone calls. We opened up the phone lines, 813-922-9810. That's right, 813-922-9810. We're talking about the Tampa Bay Rays, but, if you want to talk about any Tampa sports, whether it be the Buccaneers or even the red-hot Tampa Bay Lightning or whatever, we are here for you. We have about 25 minutes left in our show. We talked about the Rays. We talked about their pitching. We talked about the breaking news of Nick Anderson being on injured reserve now until at least the All-Star break, if not later, with a torn ligament in his elbow. We talked about some of the things the Rays may do in order to compensate for that. And we'd love to hear your opinion. We'd love to hear your suggestions. So please, no matter what platform you're on, whether you're on Kodiak TV, Zodiac TV, near a phone, pick up the phone. If you're on Facebook, Northeast Streaming Sports, YouTube, whatever it may be, pick up the phone, dial the number at the bottom of the screen, 813-922-9810, and go ahead and give us a call. But you know, when you look at this Rays position, you know, there's other people hurt too. A lot of people, you know, let's not forget G-Man Choi is out for a little while with a knee issue. Brett Phillips is out as well. So the Rays are banged up to start the season a little bit, but the one thing that this team has always been made of is depth. Now, I want to talk with them first about the manager, and then let's go through the rest of the lineup first. Then we'll talk about Kevin Cash. But when you look at the catching position, Mike Zunino had an unbelievable postseason for us last year, knocked out 4 homers during the playoffs, showed some of that potential that the Tampa Bay Rays have seen in him, and we're hoping, and they re-signed him because of it, thinking that hopefully he will have a bust-out year this year. Do not be surprised if Mike Zunino really hits it off offensively this year. We all know what Mike can do defensively. We all know how important Mike is to a pitching staff. But this is a guy that has really worked hard. He's got a lot of his personal situations taken care of, and I think Zunino could be a guy. But even if Mike should have troubles, we have a guy that we picked up in this Snell trade, Francisco Mejia, who is a great talent, great ability, great young prospect that San Diego is very high on. As before, he didn't pan out. Guys, it kind of reminds you of another switch-hitting catcher that we picked up a couple of years ago. He played for the Mets, went to the Dodgers. The Dodgers didn't even give him a week before they let him go, and the Tampa Bay Rays picked him up on waivers, and that was Travis d'Arnaud. So look for Mejia. You know, once he learns his pitching staff, once he gets used to these guys, may play a major part. He has the ability to have a good bat, has some power. So from a catching perspective, and once again, everything always depends on health, but this is a good duo on the catching staff. Now, when you look at first base, we mentioned that G-Man Choi is hurt. We know G-Man Choi is hurt, but you had to find a place for Mike Brazour. This guy had to play somewhere. This guy is unbelievable. We saw him hit a couple of homers off Chapman after getting him thrown at his head, and he still got up there, handled the adversity, and did it like a champ. And you also got a guy that, you know, I really hope breaks out this year. And, you know, I don't want to sit here, make excuses, but it's Yoshi Sasago who, you know, give him some kudos for handling a very adverse year last year. You know, not only do you come over to a different country where you don't know anyone, but you come over right at the beginning of an epidemic like COVID-19. I mean, just a tough situation for the young man. And now with all that put aside, and hopefully he can concentrate on baseball, looking for some power numbers from this guy. This guy, from what we heard, and Arrested Destrade, who's played in the Japanese league, said this is one of the best pure hitters that he has ever seen. So I'm looking forward to seeing that side of Yoshi, and I'm sure the Tampa Bay Rays are as well. Remember, he doesn't only play first base, either does Brazour. Both of them have talent to play other positions which is going to help this team out immensely, especially if they utilize some of their depth and make a trade for a closing pitcher. Second base seems like a lockup right now. I say right now because, folks, you got to remember, Wander Franco is in the works. And the question, and we'll talk about Wander when we get to third base, but Brandon Lowe definitely has potential for 30 homers. Yes, he had a tough postseason. Young guy, first time postseason. Not going to sit here and make excuses. He had a bad postseason, but what he did, without him, you don't get to the playoffs. And Brandon Lowe is going to play a major role, a good defensive second baseman, and definitely a good power hitter. Just like to see him be a little bit more consistent and go the other way sometimes on balls that are towards the outside part of the plate. Kind of like Kiermaier, who likes to pull the ball. But, this is a guy, Brandon Lowe, has so much potential for these Tampa Bay Rays. You move over to shortstop, Willy Adames. I call him Mr. Inconsistent. This is a guy who eventually is going to have to start hitting when he plays home at the Trop as well. Unbelievable on the road, plays unbelievable on the road, but for some reason has a lot of difficulty playing at home, and it's tough to schedule someone, okay, when we're away you play, and when we're not away you don't play. But Willy Adames has shown glimpses. We know he can pound out 20 homers. We've seen him, not only is he a streaky hitter, but he's also a streaky fielder. He has that fielding where he's either really great or he's really bad. There's no in between with Willy Adames. And he's got in the back of his mind that there's a young man who is 20 years old in the minor leagues, the number one prospect in all of Major League Baseball in Wander Franco. So let's not forget that. Then at third base, it's Yandy Diaz. It's going to be really important. A lot of what happened with Wander Franco this year could depend on how well Yandy Diaz plays or does not play. Okay, there's a couple of options here. Willy Adames, if Franco does end up coming up, Willy Adames will probably stay at short. I won't say definitely. I said probably. And you may see a Brandon Lowe either go over to third or Wander Franco at third and the other one at second. So if Brandon Lowe stays at second, Franco plays third, or Lowe goes to third and Franco plays second. Whatever Coach Cash decides is best for the team defensively. But it's going to be a real big year, and I don't think they're going to waste a lot of time. This is going to be a decision that's made pretty quickly. It's like the Brandon Lowe situation, like the Evan Longoria all those years back. This is, I know he's young. I know they don't want to rush him, but if the guy is ready, let's not, hold him back. Let him get up here. Let him get his reps and let him get his experience. Because I'll tell you what, he's a very special kind of kid, and we saw what the ability he has to hit the long ball when he hit it 500 feet over the right field wall in spring training. So it's going to be interesting. We talk about the outfield, and a lot of people forget it. If you look at the top 5 candidates for Rookie of the Year, 2 of them are on the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 1 is Wander Franco. Should he get called up? Should he play based on how many games he plays and so forth? The other is Randy Arozarena. A lot of people forget that Randy is still considered a rookie because he did not qualify as 1 year of service last year because of the coronavirus and his time up here. And a lot of people, obviously know of him because of what he did in the playoffs. Randy Arozarena is still a rookie. A lot of people forget that. He is a rookie. Then Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier is going to have to hit. This team, yes, I know it's a team built on pitching, built on defense, but they're going to need a little more production out of Kevin Kiermaier in the outfield position. The one thing about Kevin Kiermaier, and anyone that's listened to Frankly Speaking Sports in the past knows I've said this, is Kevin Kiermaier has one type of game, and it's his game. Okay, he doesn't like to do anything out of his comfort zone. And if Kevin would just listen and do a couple of things that he's not doing right now, Kevin would probably bat 40 points more and hit about 5 to 8 more home runs a year, if not more. And people say, well, Larry, what is that? Okay, number one, he needs to lay down a couple of bunts. They're not beautiful. They're a single in the box score, either way you look at it. I don't care, Kevin, how pretty you look getting on base. I care that you get on base. That's what we need from you. We need you on base so you can create havoc, steal some bases, and cause some mistakes on the defense. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you have to learn to take that outside pitch to left field. Too frequently, you're trying to go ahead and drive it to right field and pull it, and all you're doing is popping up and nothing. If you would just learn to go to left field with that pitch outside, what does that do for Kevin Kiermaier? Let me tell you, fans, what that does for Kevin Kiermaier. First of all, once he starts hitting the ball that way and getting a couple of base hits, the pitchers are now going to say, whoa, wait a minute. Kevin can take us outside. And when Kevin hits the ball to left field, a lot of the times, if he hits it down the line, it's going to be a double with his speed. So now the pitchers are saying, let's go ahead and pull back a little bit, maybe throw him inside. Kevin's going to start to see more of the pitches he likes, and we'll be able to pull some and drill him over the right field wall. It's not a difficult formula. It's just a matter of a guy changing his ways and doing what's best for the team, not what's always best for him and makes him look more glorified. And I like Kevin Kiermaier. I'm not bashing him, but there's so much more potential that he has if he would just listen instead of trying to be the hero all the time. He would be that much of a player. He would bat about 270, 280. He'd hit about 18 homers. And, of course, we know what he can do in the field. But I'll tell you right now, Nick Anderson's out. It opens up a lot of questions. And the guy it opens a lot of questions about is Kevin Kiermaier. Because you have another young guy that has the potential to be very, very good, has potential to be a good defensive center fielder, still needs a little work out there. But he showed glimpses, Manuel Margot. And he's another guy that could easily be the starting center fielder on this team if Kiermaier wasn't here. You know, once again, he's going to get his shot. The question is going to be, will the Rays go ahead and make a move and trade him or for a pitcher, or will they keep him? And then, of course, right field, what can you say about the great Austin Meadows? They say he looks good. They say he's back in shape. We'll see if he can get back to, his form of 33 home runs back in 2019. Now, before we go ahead and talk about Kevin Cash, the manager, we're going to go to the Frankly Speaking Sports hotline. I believe we have Rob from St. Petersburg, Florida on the line. Rob, how you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Frankly Speaking Sports. Rob is, if you all don't know, he is the president of Crew Life, crewlife.com. You know, it's on Facebook. Make sure to join. Unbelievable. You know, I say Buccaneer because they cater so much to the Buccaneers that any information you want to know about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is definitely the website to go to, Crew Life. So, Rob, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. I mean, how could you not be doing good? We live in Tampa Bay, and we're having a great time, man. Just getting ready for the Rays and watching the Lightning play so good, and, of course, all the great signings the Buccaneers are doing. It's definitely a great time to be in Tampa.
You know, Rob, let me ask you a question. I mean, you've been around, especially with your group, and you've been around Tampa Bay a long, long time. But football in general, have you ever in your football life, since watching the NFL, seen one team re-sign so many players after winning a Super Bowl?
I've never seen it. And I think if you look back to the 2002 team, they kept most of their core because they were already signed, but they started losing their depth. And you look at that next season, the 2003 season, that depth became where we started to lose because we had injuries catch up with us. So now that we signed all these great players, I want to see us backfill the depth end of it.
And Rob, a lot of people are asking questions. Obviously, when you have everything and you have a draft coming up and you don't have the pick till the 32nd pick, what are the Rays? You can say, what are the Bucks going to do? Let me ask you, and folks, we're switching to the Bucks for a minute as Rob is asking some questions in regards to the Bucks. But let me ask you this, Rob. Speaking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is it time for them to look for a solid backup to Tom Brady? Because right now, you don't have anybody signed on the team that's a backup quarterback. Yes, you got Blaine Gabbert out there, but is there a possibility that maybe they try to finagle something in the first round, maybe trade up a few spots and maybe go after a solid backup quarterback who can sit a couple years behind Brady, who has the potential one day to be a starter?
You look at it that way, you could say yes, but then you look at it the other way, and what I say the other way is look at Tom Brady. You've got a guy that is basically got maybe 2 years left. Do you want to put somebody there to develop, or do you want to continue to load up and have I would draft the best available player at 32, or if somebody in the second, that's at the top of the second round wants to give you their second round pick and next year's number one to move up, you start loading up for next year where you have 2 number ones next year. So then you can move up, during that time. I just don't see them going after a quarterback in the first round. I don't even see them even picking in the first round, to be honest, unless somebody really falls in their lap. I see them trading back to save that salary cap, to use it on some veterans to keep loading.
Now, Rob, we got about 3 minutes left here. Let me ask you this. We've been talking Tampa Bay Rays today. Everybody knows the success of all the teams in Tampa Bay. You're a big baseball fan. I don't know if you heard it, Rob, yet. It just came down the pipes when we started our show that Nick Anderson, the ace relief pitcher of the Tampa Bay Rays, is out till the All-Star break now with a torn ligament in his elbow. How big? I mean, we know it's a loss, but is this team good enough where they can handle, you think, that adversity and fill the spot for Nick Anderson, or is this going to be a huge blow?
I think if you look at history, in the history of Tampa Bay Rays, they seem to find somebody on somebody's scrap heap, and they bring him in, and somehow, some way, it's the right move. I mean, I believe in their front office. I believe in, what they have seen in players. I guarantee you that they've got something already planned. And, I stopped second guessing the Rays management and the managers over the years because, it just makes me look stupid because at the end you're like, okay, somehow they made 3 and 3 equals 7. But, who am I? Obviously, they do it. So all I'm going to say is, Nick Anderson, at least he'll be coming back for the good, the playoff run, hopefully. And we'll have him healthy by then. But I see them probably having something already planned.
Yeah, and part of that I was going to ask you, Rob. We have an unbelievable plethora of players that can play the outfield, whether they're playing infield now or not. Sasago, Brasso, Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lau, all these guys. We know Wander Franco is going to be called up eventually. Is this a situation where you have a Rosarina, you have Mongo, you have Meadows? Is this a situation where you put Kiermaier's name out there and see why his value is still there if you possibly can get a top-notch closer for him for the first half of the year?
I've been saying that for 2 years. I think that being that, I coached baseball, over the course of time, you're doing me no good if you're always hurt. And it seems like every year he's down for an amount of time injured. And being that the Rays don't have the salaries to throw out there just to have money everywhere, that, if somebody's going to give you something good for them and you have the depth in the outfield, I would say trade him. I mean, I've been saying that for years, that I think he's a good outfielder, but he's not consistent at the plate. And he does make some mistakes in the outfield.
Yep.
You just look at it and you're like, wow, he just made that, marvelous catch. And then the next thing you were like, wow, what the hell happened? It kind of, I hate to reference football. It kind of is like that Jameis Winston effect where you're like, damn, he threw that dime into the corner of the end zone, and the next one he throws it right to the linebacker in the middle of the field. It's kind of, he's a great player. He's got all hustle, and he puts everything behind what he does. I just think that for a team like the Rays, he's not a luxury that you can afford. But again, I don't like second guessing the Rays management, but I would put him on. I would have traded him.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left, Rob. Let me ask you this. 162 game season this year. We're back to normal. Just a quick guesstimate. It's way early, I know that. But if before the season starts, how many games do the Tampa Bay Rays win?
I put them at, I think they're going to win 90. And I think they've got the pitching, that the starting pitching, I think it's going to surprise people that, Archer's going to come out solid. I mean, he's not an old man. He's a veteran, but he's not an old man.
Right.
And I think he's going to have that bounce back year, because it's a year where he can come back and prove himself and cash in next year a big contract somewhere else. So, I look at the starting pitching I think it's going to be the surprise, and then I think their lineup's going to produce like it did in the playoffs. So I look at it as a 90 win. It might be 90 plus, but it's a tough division. There's no doubting that we're the hardest division to play in, but some way, somehow, we always figure it out. So I really think we're going to have a good year.
All right, my friend. Well, I want to thank you for calling in so much. We got about a minute left in the show. Thanks, and I appreciate you, buddy.
No problem, man. We'll get together soon, have a beer or two, and like always, man, I'll see you later, and crew for life.
You got it, my friend. That was Rob Thompson, the president of Crew Life. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show we had. I want to thank all the people that called in, that got involved. I know Tommy and Rob, all of you that asked questions. It's been a great, great show. Monday evening, we don't have the full cast lined up yet, but we will be doing our big Rays season opener preview. We will have special guests from Dave Wills to Neil Solondz. We know both of those guys will be joining us live Monday evening. Once again, that's Neil Solondz and also Dave Wills, and we're trying to get some other people related to the Tampa Bay Rays on with us as well. It should be a fun day. Hopefully a lot of fans will interact, will join in, and we can have a good old time. Want to thank you all very, very much for joining us on Frankly Speaking Sports. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday on another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports.